Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome all of you to this PBD talk on the lab library. My name is Janet Dawson. I'm with Physical Biosciences. When I started working at the lab last summer, I was surprised to learn that the lab had a library. I think it's an excellent resource for the lab employees. So when I was approached by the lab librarian about doing a talk, I jumped at the chance because I thought it would be a benefit to the PBD staff. So I'd like to introduce our speakers this afternoon, Peter Paleth, who is the lab librarian, and Sarah Cruz, who is an information specialist here at the lab. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Peter. I'm one of the librarians here at the lab, and I'm here with my colleague, Sarah. Thank you for the introduction, Janet. So this presentation is about library services here at the lab. How's my volume? Is it okay? Am I too loud? Okay. One of the main reasons we give these presentations is because our division did a survey which found that many of our researchers were unaware of the extent of services and resources available to them through the lab's library. So we give presentations just to try to inform more people about how the library can help them. And we also want to inform people because recently, or over the last 8 months or so, we've had some pretty dramatic changes in library services that we want to inform more people about. Our library's had an ongoing collaboration with UC Berkeley. And one of the major results of that collaboration has to do with electronic journals. If you've been here for a while, several years, you may have, there was once a time where folks at UC Berkeley had access to many more electronic journals than we did here at LBNL. That has changed thanks to our partnership with UC Berkeley. We now have comparable access to electronic journals as folks down on campus. So that's one of the major results of our collaboration with UC Berkeley. Another result of our collaboration has been implemented fairly recently, and that has to do with library catalogs. We have a new library catalog system which allows you to not only search for items in LBNL's library, but it also allows you to search for and request items from UC Berkeley libraries and libraries worldwide and have them delivered here to LBNL or to your email address if it's like an electronic document. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so there's two library catalogs which I'll tell you about, OSCIcat and Melville. So OSCIcat is UC Berkeley's library catalog, and it's also now LBNL's library catalog. So if you're looking for any item in LBNL's library, you'll want to search OSCIcat. And OSCIcat is actually the first place you should go for any library resources if you're looking for any. And like I said, you can actually request items. Through OSCIcat, you can request items from UC Berkeley and have them delivered up here to LBNL. And I will show you how that works. Okay, oops. Once I fix this window a little bit. Okay. So this is OSCIcat. This is what it looks like when you go to the page. So what I'm going to do here on the catalog is I'm going to log in first, and I'll do that by clicking this My OSCIcat button up here. And the instructions for how to do this are on our library webpage. So there's an LBNL login here. I'm going to click that. And your login credentials are actually your LBNL LDAP. So it already recognized me, so it didn't ask me to enter anything. But actually, my colleague Sarah, it recognized her. So, but yeah, it'll be your LBNL LDAP credentials that you use to log in. And so then it brings up just some of your information here. And so I'm going to demonstrate to you how requesting an item works. So in the search box up here, I'm going to search for a book. Okay, nanochemistry, that's the book I'm looking for here. Okay, so here's my search results, and this is the book I'm looking for right here. So I'm going to click there. And, okay, I get a weird screen because I'm staff. Okay, this is what you'll see when you click on a title in OSCIcat. You'll see something like this. So it just gives me information about the book, and it tells me it's in the chemistry library on campus and that it's available. So I can actually have that sent up the hill here to LBNL, and to do that, I would click this Baker button right over here. Baker is the name of UC Berkeley's document delivery service. And so I'm going to click that and show you what happens here. So it just brings up a form here. And you just review some of the information here, and you click Submit, and then your request goes off, and you'll be notified when the book is available for you to pick up here. It says here it takes about 2 to 4 working days, and that's about correct. So I'll go ahead and cancel this unless you want the book. No? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Since it didn't ask you for a budget code, I'm assuming that this, in fact, is free.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. This is free to LBNL library patrons. Now, the only caveat to that is if you're a UC Berkeley student or UC Berkeley employee, because UC Berkeley does charge their library patrons for this service. So if you're a person who's employed both at LBNL and UC Berkeley, for library purposes, you'll be classified as a UC Berkeley person. So if you're not a student or employee at UC Berkeley, then it's free for you. If you're just as long as you're just an LBNL person. Okay. So so that's basically how you search for and request things through OSCICAT. Now, there will be cases where you're looking for something and it's not owned by LBNL or UC Berkeley, and then therefore it wouldn't be in OSCICAT. And I'll give you an example of that. So I'm going to look up a different book, Nanotechnology 101. Okay. So it says here that no matches were found. So this book is not owned by LBNL or UC Berkeley. So in that case, what happens is that brings into play the other catalog which I was telling you about, which is Melville. Well, you can search libraries worldwide. And there's an easy way, actually, to get to Melville from here to do your search. So I'm still in OSCICAT here. I did my search, came up empty. So over here in OSCICAT, on the side, there's a text here that says Search More Libraries. And there's a button right here. It says UC Libraries and Beyond. So that's actually a link to the Melville Catalog. So you'll go ahead and click that. And the Melville website will open up in a frame over here. So here's Melville. It's searching libraries worldwide. And it actually already did my search for me. So this is the book I'm looking for. Go ahead and click that. And I'm going kind of fast, but again, these instructions are all on our library website. So here's the book I'm looking for. And up here it shows me, first it shows me the other UC libraries that have this book. And so what you would do here is, if I was really doing this, I would check availability and all that stuff. But we'll assume they have it available. And so what you'll do here is just click the request button. And then there's a form for you to fill out here just to send off your request. And so your library card / account number, that'll actually be your LBNL ID. And your PIN number, if you haven't done this before, you have to create a PIN, and you do that by clicking this What is my PIN? That leads you off to create your own PIN. Okay. Then you select your pickup location. It'll be UCB Baker Service. And enter an email address. Okay. If you'll no longer need the item after a certain time, you can set that here if you wish. And if you have any notes, you can enter those in this box. And that's about it. You just review the information here, and you click Process My Request Now. And that's it. Then the item will be sent to LBNL for you to pick up, or it will, if it's an electronic document, it will be emailed to you. Okay, let me cancel that. So just to review, so OSCICAT is the first place you want to go to request anything, and if you don't find it in there, you'll do your search in Melville. Are there any questions about that? Okay, yeah, and it is free if you're an LBNL library patron.
I have one question.
Yes.
What if the book's not available in the UC library?
Oh, so that search that I showed you, what you would do in that case, let me see if it'll let me go, how far it'll let me go back here. Okay. So this was that page I was on. So I requested it from UC Libraries. If it wasn't available, so I'll just show you this real quick. I'm just checking the item's availability. Okay, so it shows me it's available, but let's say it's not available. Then, so first it showed me the UC Libraries, but if I scroll down a little bit, it says I can find it in libraries globally. So then you can You can look at for libraries worldwide, but you don't actually need to go into this and look at each library and see if it's there. You can actually just click this request button and send the request off, and the people who look at these requests, who takes care of this, they'll find it for you. So that's how it works. But that's a good question. Okay, so let me close some of this out. Okay. So another fairly recent development is that it's now easier for you to check out items if you're on campus. So your LBNL badge is now your UC Berkeley library card. So if you're on campus and you want to check something out from a library over there, all you need is your badge. You don't need anything else. So yeah, as long as your badge is in good condition, like the barcode is in good condition, because they scan barcodes, they will not type in your barcode. That's just because the UCB patrons, they have really long barcodes or long ID numbers, so they insist on scanning. So your barcode needs to be in good shape, and you need an LBNL email address. So as long as you have those things, you're good to go. Just using your badge on campus. Okay, and I want to talk about UC eLinks really quick. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with it. Yeah, or have seen it. I've noticed that some researchers, they've seen it, but they don't really know what it is, so I just wanted to mention it really quick. So UC eLinks, it's a service, it's a tool actually that allows you to move quickly from a citation which you find in a database, for example, to the full text article. And it also helps you if we don't have access to that full text article, it allows you to quickly request it and get help. And I'll just give you a demonstration of how that works. Okay, so this is the Web of Science database, a very popular scientific citation database. And I'm going to do a search here. I'm going to search for articles by our lab director, just for fun. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so here I get a bunch of search results here. And you'll notice there's a UC eLinks button by all of these search results. So for example, let's say I'm interested in this article here, number 3. So I'm going to click on the UC eLinks button here. And what should happen is it should bring up the full text of the article. So it takes me to the journals page, and here's the article here. Should load down below. Okay, so it brought me to the full text article. So basically what UC eLinks does is, let me lower this.
Brought it to you in HTML?
What's that?
Brought it to you in HTML?
It did, but I could also get the PDF if I wish. There's a link to the PDF. So basically it took me to the journal's webpage. So instead of having to go to this journal, it's a German chemistry journal, I'm not going to pronounce it right, but it's this journal over here. Instead of having to go to this journal and the volume and manually find the volume, issue, page number, it takes you right to the page that you need to be at to get the article. And so it saves you time in that way. And one thing I want to point out, actually, for this particular database, Web of Science, you'll notice they have a lot of full text buttons here. And so you might be wondering what's the point of UC eLinks. Well, these full text buttons, for Web of Science, they're aware of some of the full text that we have. Some of it has been reported to them. So it recognizes that we have access to those. But we've also, in the recently, we've added so much more content thanks to our partnership with UC Berkeley. So it's not fully updated on what we have access to. So in certain databases, like Web of Science, that have these full text buttons, you may still have full text access to the article, even if there's no full text button. So like the one I just showed you, actually, it was this one right here. There's no full text button. But you could still get the full text, actually, if you click on UC eLinks. So UC eLinks is it's in multiple databases, Web of Science, Pubmed, sorry. It can be set up in Google Scholar and several others. But yeah, I just want to make clear, in the databases which do have these full text buttons, you may still be able to get access, even if there's no full text button here, just by clicking on UC eLinks. So that's one thing that UC eLinks does. But UC eLinks also helps you when we don't have access to an article. And I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to find an article which we don't have access to. Okay. So for example, I know this article, we don't have electronic access to this article. So I'm going to click on UCE links here and wait for it to load. Okay, so it tells me that this item may not be available online. Check for a copy or request it from another library. So in this situation, the best thing to do should be to request it from another library. And there's a link here for you to do that quickly. So I'm just going to show you that really quickly. So it's kind of like the Melville request form I showed you. So for your home campus, select your home campus, UCB. And I'm going to fill this out really quick. Okay. Okay, and so it has it all set up here. It has the author and title. Basically has the information, citation information for what you're looking for set up, and you would just click process my request now, and your request would be sent off. So UCE links, if we have the article available for you, it gets you to the article quickly, and if we don't have it, it positions you so you can quickly request the article. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Sarah.
Okay, can you hear me? All right. So on our website, library.lbl.gov is where you could link to it'll have a link to these catalogs as well as thousands of electronic resources, including online journals, databases, and Lpl Reports. And I'll talk briefly about each of these. Okay, so here's our library homepage. All along the top here, you'll see all of the resources and services that we provide. And so if I click on journals here, give me some steps about how to search for certain ones. So if there's a specific journal I was looking for, I would do a title search in OSCICAD, as Peter just showed you. But on this page, there's also a link to the A to Z index of journals. Okay, and this is a pretty useful page here. So you could browse the journals alphabetically, or you can do a title search. So, oh, it hasn't loaded correctly, so give it a second. Okay. So say I was looking for an article on structural biology. And if I didn't remember the exact name, it has autofill capabilities to make it more convenient. Okay, and out of the results, you could either switch to the detail view or just simply click on the eye here, and this will give you the details about its scope and availability, as well as the other categories that it covers. So on the other tabs, you can also search by category. So for instance, if I go to life sciences, you'll see there are a number of subcategories to choose from. If you go to the advanced search, you can search for a journal if you have the ISSN on hand. But a really useful tool on this page is the citation linker. So if you have the citation for the article that you're looking for, you could just fill out the fields here, and it should take you directly to the article if we have access to it. So for instance, if I was looking for the article called Quantum Biology in Nature Physics, and I know it was published in 2013, and it's especially helpful if you have the volume, issue, and page numbers on hand. Okay, and if we have access, it will provide you with a link where you could read the article online.
So Lpl Reports now have access to all the journals that
Yes, that's correct. it'll take a second depending on how fast or slow your connection is. Okay. Yeah, so you can read it here online or simply download the PDF. And then if we don't have access to the article, it is it has the UC eLinks utility. So you can simply just request it and go through the steps that Peter just showed you. So it's a really useful tool. Okay. And next thing I want to show you are databases. So if you click on this link here, it'll bring you to our most popular databases that we have at the lab. But you can also browse through them alphabetically or by subject. So under biology, you can see there are quite a few that may be of use. Some I'd like to point out. We have the Bio1 abstracts and indexes, which covers biological, ecological, and environmental sciences. We also have access to the Cold Spring Harbor protocols, and this contains peer-reviewed research methods, including those in molecular biology, computational biology, and imaging. Here we also have Pubmed, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And this gives you access to thousands of articles and millions of citations in life science journals. So one thing I want to point out with Pubmed is that if you were to connect to this database through our library website, you would have more access to full-text articles than if you were to simply do a Google search and connect to it that way. As you can see up here, our URL is actually different from the one you get in Google. And so this would actually direct you to the articles through our subscription databases that we have through our lab in UC Berkeley. So this is essentially the one you want to bookmark. Okay, and then we also have the Web of Science, which indexes most science journals from 1900 to present. So with these databases, you don't need a login or password. All you need is a secure connection, and I will talk about that shortly. Okay. And last thing we have here are Lpl Reports, and this link will bring you to our reports coordination database, and you just need to sign in with your LDAP password. So our library website is your primary access point for all of these resources. It also has information on our other services, such as interlibrary loan, which has a step-by-step process, which Peter just went over, in case you need a reminder. It also has information on EndNote, which has tutorials, as well as we'll give you a link to where you can get that through the lab. Okay, and as I mentioned, you don't need a login or password, you just need a secure connection. So if you're on site on the Hill, that's not a problem. But if you ever find yourself doing research off-site or you're traveling, there are a few ways you could do this. So there's a remote desktop as well as VPN client, and this can be found on the lab's website under the A to Z index. But now we have a proxy server that you can configure your machine through. And we recommend the proxy server because it's compatible with multiple browsers and systems. You don't need to download and install any software, and it's essentially a one-step process once you configure your browser and system. And information on how to do that is on our journal page as well as our databases webpage. Okay, and as your library, we encourage you to contact us with any research or technical assistance you may have. So, for instance, if there's you went through all the process or through all the catalogs and you're trying to request materials and you still couldn't find it, contact us and we could help you track it down. We can track down almost anything. For instance, in the past, we had a researcher who was trying to find a thesis that was only available at this university in Sweden, and we were able to get that in his hands. And then also if you come across any access issues, such as if you did have access to journal and all of a sudden you don't, just let us know and we could walk you through that process. So you can email us at library@lbl.gov, call us at 5621, or visit us in 4034, which is in this building on the 4th floor. And lastly, if you haven't been down to the cafeteria, we do have a reading lounge down there. So it's a comfortable space where it has laptop workspaces. You can meet with your colleagues, have a cup of coffee. We have a small collection of new books as well as the most current periodicals. So, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Science, Physics. So it's open from 6:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and we have professional library staff on hand most of those hours. Okay, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to take questions now. Do any of you have questions? Yes, Kenneth.
There are lots of new journals coming out now that are not appearing in print. They're online, Public Library of Science, for example. Are those things generally accessible to these search mechanisms?
So, if UC Berkeley has access to it, or LBNL has access to it, you should be able to find it through our catalog or through the public. You mentioned Public Library of Science. Is that what you were talking about? I think that's an open access one, right? That you can find through Google. I think anybody can access that one.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that one is actually cataloged or not. I don't know if that off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's the question.
Right.
They don't have tables of contents, for example, for issues and that sort of thing. So you can't easily scan it. At least I haven't found a way to easily scan articles that come out in the lab month.
Right. Yeah. If it's not something that a journal like that, I'm not so certain it would be in the catalog of UC Berkeley or LBNL. The things you would find in the catalog are generally things that are subscribed, that people we are subscribed to or we own.
And lots of new ones are being presented in foreign countries. India's opening a lot of journals in various specialized fields, but they're not in print.
Right. Yeah. If we do have access to them, you would find them in our catalog. And actually, what I would recommend for that, like let's say there's a journal in India that's isn't really accessible widely here. You would a good thing to do for that would be so you would do a search in OSCICAT and you probably wouldn't find it in there. Let's just say you wouldn't find it in there. Then you would do your search in Melville, and if there's any libraries worldwide that have it, you could make a request. So, yes.
So as LBL employees, we have the same level of access to the UC Berkeley libraries as the UC Berkeley employees do. Is that right?
In terms of electronic journals, yeah. And there are very few, what's that?
Oh, no, and books too.
Right, yeah. There are very few caveats to that. Like, for example, there's some libraries, like I think there's UC Berkeley Law Library that has its own special rules about things. But generally speaking,
So like if I wanted to go look in the main stack, I could get it.
yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to answer the next question?
Just a comment, you can also get things that are on the off-campus reserve, in the storage facility.
Yeah.
Right.
The Northern Regional Storage Facility.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a volume of a British encyclopedia from the 19th century.
That's cool. Yeah, they have a lot of neat things. Yeah, they have a lot of neat things at NRLF. Any other questions?
That's very true because I understand that the UC Library has over 9 million volumes just here in Berkeley. Lots of stuff. I had a question that relates to copyright. What kind of issues arise these days with copyright, talking about open access to journal articles? Have you ever had some problems with copyright?
Do you want to take it? I'm sorry, copyright with regards to open access journals?
Well, copyright with regard to any kind of material. Have issues come up concerning copyright?
Occasionally, I mean, I don't really see too many personally. I mean, like, for example, if somebody wanted us, like I've had, like, if somebody wanted us to photocopy a whole book for them or something, that could be a contentious issue that we couldn't do, things like that, you know. But, but I personally don't really, I know in the library world, there are different copyright issues. And open access, actually, there's something I'm trying to think of here with regards to reports.
Yeah, just when you turn in a report to be published, it has, like, the formatting is copyrighted.
Yeah, there's something to do with LBNL reports that I'm off the tip of my tongue here. Like, for example, when you submit, if any of you write LBNL reports, for our purpose, for LBNL, when you submit those reports, they have to be in a generic format because a lot of the time these reports are published if the report is published in Nature, for example, we can't, as LBNL, we can't take that copy and make a report out of it, really, because it's their proprietary formatting. But if it's published in like an open access journal, then we can just take that copy, the formatting, and publish it as an LBNL report because there's the copyrights. It's open, basically. There's no stringent rules about that. So that's all I've got for you on that one right now.
All right, thank you. Do we have other questions this afternoon? Yes, Ellen.
So what about guests who aren't UCB guests, but they're employees that are working here with us, but they're not LBNL employees, but they have a badge and do they have access?
Yes.
An affiliate or a...
Yeah, an affiliate who is working on a program, they might be here from another institution, but they have an LDAP.
Okay,
Yeah, they should have access. It would be limited to as long as they're here. Yeah,
Okay.
because they what do they change it weekly?
something like that.
Yeah. So.
So as long as you're active in the system.
Yes.
Other questions? All right. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
attending, and thank you, Peter and Sarah. We appreciate your presentation. We're going to have this available on our website in the
Great.
future so that people can check in. Thanks.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
attending.
I know I haven't been to one of those.
Optimistic about that.